In recent years, rising tensions between China and other global powers have driven many multinational corporations to exit the Chinese market. This shift, involving major Japanese and Korean firms, raises an important question: why are companies with decades-long operations now withdrawing? As they refocus on regions like the US, India, and Southeast Asia, it seems corporate trust in China is waning. Are we witnessing the start of a broader shift away from China as a global manufacturing hub? But before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, Facts About China. We really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Japanese industrial giants are leading this movement, showing how difficult it has become for foreign firms to sustain growth in China. Take Nippon Steel. On July 23rd, the company confirmed it would end its long-standing partnership with China's Bao Steel, a venture that had lasted over 20 years. Instead of renewing, Nippon Steel is redirecting its investments to markets like India and the United States, where regulatory hurdles are fewer and expansion appears more promising. Nippon Steel's decision includes plans to sell its shares in the Bao Steel venture for $241 million, pending regulatory approval. This is a marked shift for a company that once saw potential in China's vast steel demand. A turning point in the Nippon Steel-Bao Steel relationship occurred in 2021 when Nippon Steel sued Bao Steel in Japan, alleging misuse of its patents for electroplated steel sheets supplied to Toyota for electric vehicles. This ongoing case underscores growing distrust in China's intellectual property protections, which are viewed by many foreign investors as inadequate. Another casualty in the exodus is Kato Works, a Japanese company specializing in construction machinery. On July 12, Kato Works dissolved and liquidated its Chinese subsidiary. This wasn't an isolated case, as other Japanese firms within the heavy machinery sector, such as Kato Nakajima, have also made similar moves, marking their intent to exit by August. These examples underscore the growing unease in the industrial sector, which had once been a pillar of foreign investment in China. For instance, Japanese companies like Toshiba and Sony, once reliant on China's low production costs, have been relocating to Southeast Asian countries, where labor remains affordable and market stability is greater. The beauty and skincare sector, a thriving industry for foreign brands in China, is also seeing significant exits. High-end Japanese skincare brands, including Shiseido, have started downsizing their operations, with some flagship stores in China halting new orders and gradually closing down. The exit of such brands speaks to a broader trend in consumer goods. Bridgestone, another Japanese company with a long-standing presence in China, has chosen to end its production of commercial tires there, opting to shift its focus to high-performance passenger tires instead. Last year, many well-known foreign companies are echoing similar sentiments. Canon, Sony, Toshiba, and Nikon have all recently shifted parts of their supply chains to places like Thailand and the Philippines. This strategy helps mitigate risks associated with China's changing economic policies while allowing companies to stay competitive in the global market. Even American companies like Amazon and LinkedIn have scaled back their presence in China, pointing to regulatory barriers and the rising costs of doing business in the region. Hyundai Korea and Credit Suisse have also sold assets at reduced prices to exit China. One sector particularly hard hit by China's economic challenges is the automotive industry. In Chongqing, an unnamed car dealer is struggling to sell 2,000 unsold vehicles that have been gathering dust for up to 3 years. Priced between $2,800 and $21,000, these cars have failed to attract buyers, leaving the dealer at a loss. This stagnant market serves as a reminder of the larger economic downturn affecting Chinese consumers and businesses alike. In January 2024, Hyundai announced the sale of its Chongqing factory, part of its Beijing Hyundai division, to Chongqing Lanjiang New Area Yufu Industrial Park Construction Investment Company, Limited for 1.62 billion yuan, $226 million USD. This was less than half the initial asking price of 3.68 billion yuan, $513 million USD, when the factory was first listed for sale in 2023. Hyundai's most advanced facility in China It had a production capacity of 300,000 vehicles per year and was built with an investment of 7.7 billion yuan, $1.07 billion USD. Despite its potential, the factory ceased operations in December 2021. Analysts suggest this move may signal Hyundai's exit from China as the company shifts its focus to markets like India and Indonesia. The sale of the Chongqing plant reflects a broader trend of foreign companies scaling back operations in China. Initially listed for 3.68 billion yuan, Hyundai reduced the price multiple times, eventually settling on 1.62 billion yuan, $226 million USD. While Hyundai claims the sale is part of a strategy to streamline operations, many believe it indicates the company is exiting the Chinese market due to challenges such as increasing competition from local firms and a more complex business environment. Hyundai is not alone. In early 2024, Credit Suisse also decided to disband its China wealth management unit after failing to become part of the country's largest foreign fund management company. UBS, which acquired Credit Suisse, opted not to retain key staff, including CEO Wang Jing, and laid off at least 20 investment advisors. The bank's decision to sell off its securities business in China further highlights the difficulties foreign financial institutions face, given China's slowing economy and tightening regulations. The closures and restructuring at Credit Suisse illustrate how foreign financial institutions are adjusting to a more challenging business environment in China, compounded by the country's economic slowdown and regulatory uncertainty. Similarly, Goldman Sachs announced that it would scale down its operations in China by reducing its workforce and focusing more on its core business sectors rather than expanding in the wealth management space. One of the latest examples is the decision by Skadden Arps, a prestigious international law firm, to close its Shanghai office. With nearly 2,000 lawyers globally, the firm cited the downturn in China's economy and the country's increasingly complex regulatory environment as key reasons for shrinking its presence. In a statement, Skadden Arps explained that changes in market dynamics had forced them to reduce their operations in Shanghai and merge the office with their Beijing team. This restructuring also resulted in layoffs, although some employees were offered transfers. This move reflects the broader trend of foreign firms scaling back in China due to its slowing economic growth and tightening regulations. Skadden Arps is far from the only company making this shift. Other large American firms have similarly reduced their footprint in China. For instance, Vanguard Group, a leading U.S. investment management firm, along with asset management giants like Vanex Massachusetts, Matthews International Capital, and Fidelity International, have scaled down or ceased their operations in mainland China since last year. This has been prompted by the deterioration of China's business environment, with its capital markets and private enterprises facing repeated setbacks. Law firms in particular have been especially affected. Reed Smith LLP, for example, made a strategic decision to integrate its Shanghai operations into its Hong Kong and Singapore offices. Similarly, in July, the American law firm Detchert announced it would shut down its offices in Beijing and Hong Kong by the end of the year. These closures are indicative of a larger trend where foreign companies are seeking more stable and predictable markets outside of China's increasingly volatile business climate. Morrison Foerster, a global law firm with more than 1,000 lawyers, announced in May that it would shut its Beijing office by early July, with the wind down set to be completed in the fall. Similarly, Sidley Austin, another major international law firm, closed its Shanghai office in May, transferring its staff to Beijing and Hong Kong. These closures signal the deepening economic difficulties facing China's top cities, such as Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, which are experiencing significant recessions. In Beijing, a dramatic shift is apparent. The typically congested Fourth Ring Road now has unusually smooth traffic, a phenomenon rarely seen except during major crises like SARS or the recent pandemic lockdowns. At 7 in the evening, the traffic is remarkably light, said one observer, highlighting the stark difference from the past. This quietness reflects a broader downturn where businesses are struggling and consumer activity has significantly decreased. In Shanghai, the situation is similarly bleak. Major companies are slashing wages and laying off employees, while small businesses teeter on the brink of bankruptcy. Shopping malls, once crowded on weekends, now stand almost empty. Many smaller companies can no longer pay wages, and large businesses are cutting jobs, a local source commented. Shenzhen, a tech hub, is also suffering with mass layoffs, shuttered businesses, and unoccupied housing. Even the city's finances are under strain, with some districts reducing public spending and Shanghai's foreign trade seeing a marked decline. The situation is exacerbated by a drop in foreign trade. For the first time in 9 years, Shanghai lost its position as China's top foreign trade city in the first 4 months of this year. The economic struggles of Beijing and Shanghai are sending clear signals. China's economy is in trouble. Even the Communist Party's leadership, which has long emphasized growth, is now quietly acknowledging the depth of the crisis. Reports suggest a growing trend of wealthy individuals leaving China, often relocating to places like Hong Kong or the West. Mingju Zhang, a political science professor at National Taiwan University, highlighted the growing pressures China is facing from both internal and external sources. According to Zhang, China's economic troubles are compounded by the ongoing Sino-US trade war, which began in 2018. The United States imposed tariffs on a wide range of Chinese exports, sharply reducing the global market share for Chinese companies. This economic squeeze has pushed some manufacturers to relocate their production to more cost-effective countries like Vietnam and India, weakening China's dominance in global supply chains. Data shows that in 2023, over 30% of Chinese manufacturing companies moved some of their production lines to Southeast Asia, a trend expected to continue as tariffs and trade tensions persist. Along with trade pressures, the technological competition between the US and China has also been detrimental to the Chinese economy. The United States has implemented stringent measures to prevent China from accessing critical high-tech components, such as advanced semiconductors and telecommunications technologies. These actions have hindered China's development in key sectors like 5G, artificial intelligence, and semiconductor manufacturing. The technological blockade has not only hurt China's technological companies but also left some Western firms hesitant to invest further, concerned about security and intellectual property risks. Moreover, Europe has increasingly expressed concerns about China's policies, especially regarding market access and technology protection. European nations, while economically connected to China, have grown wary of Chinese practices, especially in light of the increasing competition posed by China's low-cost exports. This has led to tighter regulations and scrutiny over Chinese imports, particularly affecting small and medium-sized businesses within the EU. Reports indicate that European Union imports from China dropped by 4.7% in the first quarter of 2024, signaling growing resistance to Chinese dominance in certain sectors. Lastly, China has also been facing a significant outflow of foreign capital. Multinational companies are relocating production lines and operations to other countries, seeking to avoid the political and economic uncertainty in China. In 2023, foreign direct investment feed in China fell by 8%, a stark contrast to the 5% growth seen in other Asian economies. Additionally, China's strict national security laws, such as the counter-espionage law and the data security law, have further eroded confidence among foreign investors. Many companies now view these regulations as unpredictable, leading to concerns about the future stability of doing business in China. China's efforts to secure its technological independence and bolster national security have unintentionally raised doubts about the openness of its economy. These concerns, exacerbated by Xi Jinping's ambitions to achieve semiconductor self-sufficiency, highlight the difficulty in overcoming major technological barriers. In response to the US export bans, China has poured substantial resources into its semiconductor industry, with an investment of $96.3 billion. However, overcoming these technological limitations is no easy feat, and sheer financial commitment is insufficient to resolve the fundamental challenges. As a result, many international corporations have started to reconsider their presence in China. The US began enforcing strict export controls on semiconductor technology in October 2022, marking the beginning of significant shifts in global trade. Subsequently, the Dutch government followed suit, denying China access to advanced equipment from the semiconductor giant ASML. This restriction on high-end semiconductor technology has forced China to double down on its domestic production, but the road to self-reliance remains steep. In 2023, China reported a breakthrough with a new exposure machine that can support 65-nanometer resolution, a step up from 90-nanometer technology developed in 2022. But still significantly behind ASML's state-of-the-art machinery. Although these advancements are a positive sign, they highlight the limitations of domestic capabilities compared to the global leaders in semiconductor technology. Despite efforts, experts remain skeptical about China replicating ASML's technology. Leping Huang of Hati Securities noted the large gap between China's current tech and ASML's advanced machines, requiring major breakthroughs. ASML's nearly 50% sales growth to China in the second quarter of 2023 highlights China's struggle to find viable local alternatives. John Lee from East West Futures noted that this growth reflects the lack of competitive domestic options. Experts like Paul Triolo from DGA Group also expressed skepticism about China's ability to replicate ASML's decades of research and development in semiconductor technology. Triolo pointed out that no matter how much investment China pours into the sector, it would be nearly impossible to match the technical level of ASML's equipment. The sheer complexity of the technology means that China faces an uphill battle in bridging the gap. In addition to these technological hurdles, Camille Buenoa from Rhodium Group pointed out that while subsidies have fostered rapid growth in industries like electric vehicles, the semiconductor sector presents a far more complex challenge. The intricate nature of chip production makes it much more difficult for China to overcome the technological ceiling. As foreign media have pointed out, the ability to overcome critical issues in semiconductor equipment requires more than just financial investment. It demands groundbreaking innovation and expertise. Finally, if you enjoy insightful content about China, subscribe to our channel, China Fact. Please like and share this video with friends so we can explore more exciting aspects together. Thank you for your support.